So, of course, Deku, he's still out in the streets. He's still fighting villains. Like, he's running all over the place and just running himself ragged in the process. Like, he literally collapses after fighting some low-class villains because, of course, as we know, he's doing too much too soon and he needs to give himself time to heal. And it all comes to a head when he runs into the dictator. Welcome back to the Red Stool. Today, we're talking about My Hero Academia chapter 318, Reckless. And, we starting off, it's Endeavor. He's trying to basically talk some sense into Deku and just let him know that, hey, things might be bad now, but they're going to get better. We're in the process of gaining heroes from other countries to come help us, and they'll be here shortly. So once they get here, we can expand our operation to better track All For One in Shigaraki. So you're just going to need to cool it down a little bit, start eating, get some sleep, because right now you're doing too much. And all you're doing is wearing yourself down to the point where you'll no longer be able to do hero work, or, you could even die doing this. But Deku, he's not in that space. He's not trying to hear that. And he's still running off. Even the vestiges in his head, they're telling him, listen, you got to slow down. You got to watch out. What you're doing is too much right now. You need a break. But he still shook. That threat from All For One, it hit him in a really personal place because he's feeling the pressure because he's like, hey, the people that are closest to me, they're in danger right now. I don't want, just because it's my turn, I don't want to see anybody that I love or care about get killed because he hates me and he just wants to steal my quirk. So the pressure of the threat of All For One is definitely looming over him. Plus, he has All Might when he told him, you're next, it's your turn, because he has to live up and be that pillar of society now, especially since everything's falling apart. So he's got the pressures of his hero and mentor stacked on top of his shoulder, plus the looming threats of All For One, his now new nemesis, just completely taking over his life, and it's causing him to just act out in this way. And I know this isn't the real Deku, it's just the front that he's putting on because he feels like he has to. He feels like he's making the right decision. And in the last chapter, we saw it for just like a glimpse, his eyes. They looked the way they used to for a second. They were soft, warm, a little bit vulnerable. The kid, the crybaby fanboy that, we grown accustomed to know and love. So that's still in him. He hasn't just completely changed his personality. That, soft, warm-hearted, ideological person that he was is still there. It's just he has all this stress piled on top of him, and it's forcing him to change and make bad decisions, even though he's thinking it's for the best. And we just cut off to this montage of him just one villain from the next, trying to get information, interrogating people, saving people. He's just going nonstop, and he's barely even eating. The only comforting thing that he has is the memories of his friends and how they all used to, smiling and happy. That's what's pushing him right now. That's what's keeping him like, this is what we got to do. This is what I'm doing it for. He's putting everyone above himself in this moment. And All For One, he knows this. He's like, okay, I know the type of person you are now that he's had the time to sit down and think about this, because none of this is random. This is all going according to All For One's plan. He's, it's all meticulous. And what he's going to do is he's going to break Deku down. He's going to wear him out. Over this 2 months that they need to recuperate, he wants Deku to be running 100%, 100% of the time. He never wants him to have a moment of peace, because if he can take that from him mentally and physically, where will he be at? Mentally, he won't be able to, focus in and dial in on All For One if he's just chasing all of his pawns. He'll never get to him that way. And physically, eventually, it's going to catch up to him. They're not eating. They're not sleeping. He's going to break down. Deku's body isn't superhuman. And we've been shown that too many times throughout this series. So we definitely got to watch, just how Deku's approaching this. Because All For One knows exactly what he's going to do. He spent however much time in jail thinking about his master plan and how he's going to retake his brother's quirk, destroy Hero Society, and rebuild it in his image. And right now, I gotta say everything's definitely going to plan, because a new villain pops up and his name is the Dictator. He was also locked in Tartarus. So what his quirk is, he has the ability to control people. It's like he's like a puppet master, so to speak. So he has all these strings connected to a bunch of innocent civilians. What he did was he went out, he grabbed as much innocent people as he possibly could, and now he's going to fight Deku in this standoffish fight because, you know, of course, we know the type of person Deku is. He's not just going to punch a civilian just because they're being controlled by someone evil. And Deku, you know, of course, he knows all the information about the Dictator. He's like, okay, your quirk, it allows you to control people, and the only way for me to stop that is to knock you out or to knock them out, and I can't knock them out. So right now he's at a wall because, one, physically he can't keep doing this. Sure, now he has, you know, Fox 100%, but it's taking a toll on him. You know, so him firing on all cylinders 24/7 is not working out for him. Plus, all of his support tech, it's basically in ruins. He doesn't have his gloves anymore. The restraints that he had for his arms are in tatters. The iron souls that he had, I'm pretty sure those are barely functioning at this point as well. So he's basically on his last legs. It's like almost like a fire. It's burning super bright before it goes out. And right now he's being pushed to his limits. Of course, the Dictator knows this as well, because All For One told him. He was like, hey, you know, this is the type of person he is. He's going to put everyone before himself. So use that against him, you know, as quickly as you can. It's like, you know, Deku, he's like, okay, well, what can I do? I can't use the air pressure. Okay, but I can't just blow through them to try to capture the Dictator. What can I do? And he's getting stuck in this moment. And as he's like trying to figure it all out, of course, the Dictator, he's using, you know, the people as puppets to just overwhelm Deku. Like they've like enswarmed him almost like they're like, it's like almost like a scene from a zombie movie. Don't you know how like when they just completely engulf people, and you just see like the one hand reaching out like, save me. And that's where Deku's at, because he doesn't know what to do. He's like, okay, well, what can I do? Now, sure, he has some options, some readily available options at his hand. He could just grab all the people with Black Whip. That way they're unable to move or attack him. Then, you know, go in and strike the Dictator and put him out. But I feel like it's just all the fatigue that's just building up inside of his mind and his body. He hasn't gotten a chance to rest. He's just full power 100% of the time. And I feel like it's also starting to, you know, it's starting to change the way people view him as well, because half the time when he's saving these people, they're looking at him like, are you a hero? Because you have multiple quirks and you look really scary. Do you work for All For One? And of course he's like, no, like that's basically my arch nemesis. I'm trying to save you from him. It's just, I have multiple quirks, okay? I'm not a bad guy. Just trust me. You know, I know I'm covered in blood and I look super menacing right now, but you know, it is just what it is. I'm helping you run along. So, you know, he has to be viewed as a hero right now in society. And, you know, if he looks like a monster, basically just running around, you know, stopping villains, the media, they can have a field day with that too. Like, oh, like when did heroes start looking like monsters now? Is this a new type of hero we're going to get? I didn't expect this, you know, like, so he has to be careful of that too, because heroes, unfortunately, they do have to maintain that image, and he can't put fear into the hearts of the public. Now, if that's how he's going to approach villains, yes, absolutely. 100% smart decision. You know, put fear into their hearts, but he has to put society at ease. And society can't be at ease if they're afraid of you. He basically needs to just calm down and take a break. But before he can figure any of this out, flying in to save the day out of nowhere, you know, Lord Explosion Murder, Dynamite himself, Bakugo Katsuki, he comes in, he hits the Dictator with an AP shot, and it just drops him. You know, it's great to see him, my favorite character personally, so I'm glad that he's out of the hospital, I'm glad that he's doing well, and that he's fully recovered. Plus, he's also on his phone, and he's saying, yeah, I found him, he's over here. So I'm sure that's not Endeavor, or that's not Hawk's, Best Genis, any of them. I'm pretty sure he's talking to Todoroki and the other kids from Class 1A because they're probably all out looking for him. Because as we know, they all have their provisional licenses. So they are allowed to, basically go out into the streets, do certain hero works and patrol. And that's exactly what they're all probably going to do now because there's so many heroes that have quit. And in a way, it's kind of a blessing for them because now it's made way for them to come in and fill those spots and be the hero. Because in their heart of hearts, they all want to be heroes. So it's just made their path to becoming heroes that much easier. But I'm definitely expecting in the next chapter, well, one, Bakugo's probably going to cuss out Deku. But two, he's going to have that reunion with his friends. And that's what he needs because in the chapter, as the Vestiges were talking amongst themselves, the second user, he kind of brought up a point where he's like, listen, what the kid really needs is he needs to be surrounded by those people that were helping him and that he made those strong bonds with that were his friends. He needs his friends right now because, I didn't do this alone because he still had the third user. They were with him and whoever else, at the time was standing with them against All For One. So I feel like in that conversation, he was vague, but what he was alluding to was that Deku needs to understand that he can't do this alone, that he needs to lean on his friends as his support network. So hopefully in the next chapter, we'll see that, more fleshed out. We'll see Uraraka and how she's like, hey, listen, you can't do this. It's great that you have All Might's quirk, but listen, like, you can't do this on your own. Like, we all have to come together. Your mother's worried. We're all worried. And we're stronger together than we are apart. Look at how strong All For One is. He's not out there by himself. He has a strong network of people built around him. And so do you. So you can't just throw that away. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get like a deep, tender, heartwarming moment between all of them as, Bakugo calls Deku trash for basically not having the form that he has now way sooner. But those are just my thoughts on the chapter. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I always want to hear your opinion, converse with you guys. Also, if you want, give me a follow on TikTok. I'm there. I make my hero-related content, anime-related content as well. It's a great time. I'm going to see y'all later. Peace.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Okay.
Okay?
Are you?
Absolutely.
You're going to get arrested for this?
Arrested for doing what? You're not that